Now let's talk about what EFT can actually be used for. Now, when I first started my training in EFT and I first became introduced to it, the founder, Gary Craig, would say use it on everything. Now, for me, I was a little bit cynical about that expression. I was a little bit skeptical about, because I kept thinking, how could you use the one technique on absolutely everything? How was that going to work? So how was tapping on losing weight, how was that going to help me if I was also then going to tap on feeling rejected? And how could I do the same process for all those things? But once I started to understand what Gary Craig was actually talking about, everything in the EFT world for me changed. Once I finally worked out his concept of table tops and table legs, everything for me fell into place. Now I want you to imagine a table, nice little round table with legs underneath it. The tabletop is what somebody can tell you their problem is. My problem at the time was I was holding on to too much weight. That was my tabletop. Now underneath, normal table has 3 or 4 legs, whatever, your table legs in your own life, there are lots and lots of them. So all of the issues that I had, the thoughts and memories that I had, the emotions that I had, all tied up to be part of my self-worth and the part of the reasoning I was holding on to my weight, they were all the table legs. So a lot of this course, we're going to be talking about tabletops and table legs. Many of you will have issues in your own life where you'll be able to tell somebody, this is my problem. I'm going to share with you that that is more than likely the tabletop. And we're going to help you delve into what's called the table legs so you can start to really get to the core of issues that are happening for you so you can really start to understand it. So when Gary Craig says use it on everything, I get where he's coming from now. Yes, use it on everything, but use it on everything with some sort of methodology, technique, whatever the word you want to use, like the tabletops. The tabletop is the thing that people can tell you is wrong. The table legs is where we want to play. It's where we want to do all of our work. It's where we want to help you focus on. So what I want you to do, what I want to do in this video is I want to walk you through some examples of the kinds of things that happen in people's lives that EFT can reasonably easily help them get through. Some are going to be a little bit more complex and some are going to need a little bit of delving into. They're going to need some persistence. But generally speaking, these are some fairly easy issues, tabletops, things that happen that we can let EFT actually help us work through. So we're going to just work through the slides here. Excessive behaviours and addictions. Now, most people will not like the word being addicted. They're not going to want to think about being an addict. An addict conjures up, ideas of needles in arms and all sorts of really seedy kind of stuff and things you can't get over. So we're going to include things like excessive behaviours. And by excessive behaviours, it may be that you just drink too much coffee, pop too many pills, people who go and do pornography, people who do things that are they're reasonably mainstream in life, but they're things that we do on a repetition that's possibly not good for us. I'm hoping that's an easy way to explain it. Drugs, coffee, alcohol, smoking, pornography, gaming, gambling. Each of these are excessive behaviours and they're generally addictions. They can easily be looked at the same with tabletops and table legs. The tabletop is the behaviour they do. The table legs are what holds this in place. What makes people want to escape out of normal life into addictions and excessive behaviours. And that's what addictions are. Addictions are actually a way for us as humans to escape how we feel and how we don't want to feel that way anymore. That's why we have these addictive things, because they kind of help us to take ourselves out of our normal everyday life and let us escape for a little bit. So you see I've got all sorts of things on the screen. Crisps, chips, chocolates, sweet stuff, salty stuff, crunchy stuff, drinks, cola, energy, sugary, anything that kind of gives the body a bit of a hit. OCD and repetitive behaviours. You know, I had a friend and he seemed to have to lock his car 3 times, and like, didn't make sense to me, but in his mind it absolutely made sense to him as to why he needed to do it. But it was a repetitive behaviour. Next slide we're going to look at is pain management and pain reduction. Chronic pain in the body, pain that moves around the body. So have you got a pain in your body that is part of an accident, has been part of an injury, has been part of an impact? Or do you have pain that just, you've always had it, you've had it for years, you've got no idea where it's come from, it isn't related to a specific event at all? In the energy psychology world, we all believe that the body stores trauma and emotions in certain parts of the body. So not uncommon for someone, say, to have a pain in their knee. We do some EFT tapping on some of the emotions in and around that, and it gets released. So we're going to go through and teach you some of that stuff as well. Headaches, migraines, anything that's physical symptoms of the body. We're going to help you walk through how to sort them out for your own life as well. Keeping going, public speaking, one of my favorites. If you are someone who needs to speak in public and you find yourself with sweaty palms, sweaty forehead, trembling knees, turning tummy, just that your whole fight or flight is just starting to move around. It may be when you're doing a keynote speech, giving a work presentation, like standing up in front of your boss or your team, pitching for a deal, like having to be the salesperson who pitches for a pretty cool deal for your company. Maybe it's your own business. Leading your team, actually speaking in front of your team, standing up as a leader in front of your team. Maybe being interviewed on podcasts, radio, TV, whatever it is for maybe your business. Public speaking is something very much that we can use EFT to get over. Now, what about our aspiring actors and singers and dancers? You know, those audition nerves, handling rejection when you don't get the part, that embarrassment when you make a mistake on stage. Do you say your lines wrong? Do you muck up the dancing? Do you sing the wrong note? Whatever. Stage fright. We are going to be able to help you move through those as well. Now we're going to look at some cravings. Now, cravings and addictions for me are somewhat different. Craving is the craving for the thing in the moment. Like right now, I really, really, really want to be able to eat whatever thing it is for you, chocolate, whatever. But addictions is the driver and the motivator for that to be your thing, that you constantly go back to the same thing, versus, oh, I really could eat some chocolate now, versus I open chocolate, I eat the whole packet, and then I go back and buy another packet, and then all those sorts of things. So there's a slight difference between addictions and cravings. Cravings are just things we can deal with in the moment for people that are happening for them now. Addictions and cravings obviously go together, but we can do cravings without there being a particularly addictive behaviour. Just know that we can actually go through and work on both of them with EFT. Business performance. Now, I have worked with a number of business owners over my years of doing EFT, and these are very typical blocks that business owners will have. So they believe they're not good enough, they believe they're not worthy of success, and it's not they're not good enough with what they're doing. In their psychology, there's just something that says, I'm just not good enough, I'm not worthy of this success. Who do I think I am to be having this success? Who do I think I am to be having all this money? There's a whole lot of things that sit underneath those sorts of sabotaging behaviours that turn up in business, perhaps. Comparing yourself to others, imposter syndrome, self-doubts that block your success. All of those things in business will actually impact your bottom line, because if you have a whole lot of these sort of drivers going on, you've got these triggers, you've got these thoughts going on, there will be sabotaging behaviours that come up that you don't actually go for the goals you want, you don't try to make the money you want, you have some sort of blocks that come up because these need to be cleared if it's you in your business. Same as in a career, if you're working for someone as well, it's very handy for that too. That idea of not getting a promotion, not putting yourself forward, not being able to speak up and go, hey, notice me, I'm worthy too. Phobias and fears, this is a fun one. So phobias and fears, things that creep, crawl, slither, so insects, snakes, birds, beasties, anything that kind of moves. We use EFT in a really fun way to pull all of those apart. Environmental triggers, heights, flying, water, confined spaces, things that are more environmental. I put characters, costumes and dress up, and there's going to be a whole lot more of these that come up as well. Santa Claus, clowns, authority figures, uniforms, things like that. We can actually use EFT tapping to move past those as well. And then we get into our last one, sporting performance, sporting enhancement. How about decreasing your golf handicap using EFT? How about when your horse knows that you're a bit afraid of it, getting past that? Running faster, jumping higher, kicking more goals. Remember we started to talk about tabletops, table legs? The reason you're not running your fastest, jumping your highest, kicking the goals is because in your table legs, there's some stuff to be resolved. Pre-game nerves, post-game judgment because you didn't win. Overcoming injury is huge because particularly when people are at peak of their performance, they are worried about the injury happening again, and there's this little bit in their brain that holds them back. If I go to where I was before, I'll get injured again, and I know that hurts. So we can use it for that. And fear of injury. One of my amazing students, I run a practitioner of EFT certification program too, and one of my graduates recently put on a video because she's a mountain bike rider, and it was for helping people who are afraid of apparently going over the big hump on their bike quite fast and not knowing what's on the other side. So she has been doing some work on fear of people in these sports having injuries, which was absolutely fascinating. So this is just a really quick, brief overview of all the things that EFT can help with, and I think we're going to have some fun together working on these.